The arrows in the forest. The alien forest was dark and strange. Tall trees reached up into the sky, their leaves glowing with soft blue light. The ground was wet and soft under heavy boots. Jack moved slowly, scanning his surroundings. He was a human scout, part of a peace mission to this wild planet called Zirentha. Jack had heard stories about dangerous creatures, about tribes who didn't welcome outsiders. Still, his mission was clear: map the area and find safe paths. But something felt wrong today. The wind was too quiet. The birds were not singing. Suddenly a scream cut through the silence. It was sharp, full of fear. Jack stopped. His heart raced. That was no animal sound. It was someone crying for help. Without thinking, he ran toward the sound. Branches scratched his arms. Vines tried to slow him down. But the scream came again, louder this time. Jack burst through the trees and stopped in shock. In a small clearing, an alien girl was tied to a tall wooden post. Her arms were above her head. She looked young, maybe a teenager by human standards. Her skin was pale purple, her hair silver like the moon. Her eyes, wide with fear, locked onto Jack's. But she was not alone. A group of alien warriors surrounded her. They wore bone masks and carried longbows. Their arrows were already pulled back, ready to shoot. Jack didn't have time to think. The leader gave a signal. The archers released their arrows. Jack shouted and ran forward. "No!" He jumped, in front of the alien girl just as the arrows came flying. Pain exploded through his chest and side. The force knocked him back, but he didn't fall. He stood firm, shielding her with his body. The arrows stuck into his armor. Blood started to drip down. The alien warriors looked confused. One of them shouted in their own language. They had never seen anyone do this before, especially not a human. The girl behind him gasped softly. Jack turned his head slightly, still blocking her. "It's okay," he said, his voice tight with pain. "I've got you." The warriors hesitated. This wasn't part of their plan. They looked at each other, unsure. Then the leader gave another shout and they vanished into the trees, disappearing like ghosts. Silence returned. Jack's legs shook. He dropped to one knee. The girl slowly reached out and touched his shoulder. Her hands were shaking. "Why?" she whispered, her voice soft and musical. Jack looked at her and gave a weak smile. "Didn't seem fair, letting them hurt you." She stared at him like he was something from a dream. No one had ever defended her like that, not even her own kind. Jack collapsed, the pain finally pulling him down. His vision blurred. The girl knelt beside him, her silver hair falling over his face. She placed her glowing hand on his wounds. A strange warmth spread through his chest, and then everything went black. Jack woke up in a small cave. There was a fire burning near the entrance. It wasn't large, but it kept the place warm. The alien girl was sitting next to him, watching quietly. When she saw his eyes open, she leaned closer. "You live," she said, almost surprised. Jack gave a small laugh. "Barely." He tried to sit up but groaned in pain. The girl gently pushed him back down. "Rest." Who are you?" Jack asked. The girl looked away. "They call me cursed. My people think I bring bad luck. That's why they left me for sacrifice." Jack frowned. "That's crazy. You're just a girl." She shook her head. "No, I have something inside. Power. It scares them." Jack studied her glowing skin and soft light coming from her hands. He didn't know what this power was, but he knew she was no monster. "Well," he said, "they'll have to go through me next time." The girl blinked, then slowly smiled. It was the first time she had smiled in many years. Outside the cave, the forest waited, and in the shadows, more eyes watched. But inside, the bond between a human and an alien had just begun, one that would shake the planet. Her eyes held secrets. Jack woke up with a sharp gasp, his eyes snapping open to a ceiling of glowing blue. Stone. A strange warmth pulsed through his chest, not pain, but something calm. Strange music echoed faintly, like a lullaby made of light. He was not on Earth. Not anymore. He tried to sit up, but a soft hand pushed him down. "Still weak?" said a voice, not human. His eyes turned, and there she was. The alien girl sat beside him, her silver hair braided now, her pale skin softly glowing in the firelight. Her violet eyes shimmered like the night sky, but it wasn't her beauty that stunned him. It was her gaze. There was something ancient in it, something too deep for her young face. Jack swallowed. "Where are we?" The girl turned her head slightly, listening to the cave around them. "Hidden place. Sacred. My ancestors' place. They don't come here anymore." He looked down at his chest. His shirt had been removed. Smooth, glowing marks ran along his skin, where arrows had pierced him, now sealed like old scars. "You healed me," he said quietly. She nodded once. Not fully, but enough. Jack lay still, watching her. "You're not just some girl from a tribe, are you?" She paused, then said, "My name is Tisali. I was born during the red eclipse. My people say I am cursed, that I will bring the return of the sky fire. So, they feared me. They tried to end me." Jack frowned. "But you saved me. You could have run, but you didn't." She looked at him for a long time. "You didn't run either. You stood in front of the arrows. No one ever stood for me before, not even my own blood." There was a silence between them, a peaceful silence. Then Jack sat up slowly and glanced around the cave. "You live here?" Tisali shook her head. "I was running, hiding. This place found me. It called to me." Jack raised an eyebrow. "A cave called to you?" She didn't smile. "It remembers. It has memory. I hear it sometimes." Jack blinked. He wasn't sure if she was crazy, or if this planet really did have memory. Then she did something unexpected. She placed her fingers on Jack's temple. "Look." Images flashed through his mind. An old city under the stars, floating towers and warriors of light walking beside alien kings. He saw a symbol glowing on Tisali's hand, a mark of royalty. He gasped and pulled back, breath quick. You're one of them, the ones who vanished from history." She nodded slowly. "Blood of the first star." Jack rubbed his face. "No wonder they're afraid of you." Outside, the wind howled through the trees like voices whispering warnings. Jack stood up slowly, his strength returning. "We can't stay here forever," he said. "If they find you again—" "They will come," she said. "They always come." Jack moved toward the cave entrance and looked out. "Then let them. But next time I'll be ready." Tisali stood behind him, silent. The wind blew her silver hair across her face, but her eyes, her ancient, mysterious eyes, stayed locked on him. "Why are you helping me?" she asked softly. Jack turned around. "Because I know what it's like to be alone, and because something tells me this planet needs you alive more than it needs me." For a long second she didn't speak. Then she whispered, "You see me? Not like the others. You see the truth." And in that moment, something invisible passed between them. Not love, not yet, but trust. A dangerous, powerful kind of trust. Somewhere, far in the jungle, drums began to beat again. The hunt had restarted. Hunted by her people, the drums started at dawn, slow at first, like the beating of a giant heart. Then faster, louder, echoing across the trees, bouncing off stones, shaking the very roots of the jungle. Jack froze, knife in hand, as the sound crawled into his bones. "They found us," Tisali whispered. She didn't need to say who. The tribe was coming, not just to kill her, but to erase her, to destroy what she carried in her blood. Jack glanced at her. She stood still near the cave's edge, her silver hair caught in the wind, her glowing hands trembling slightly. She was afraid, but not for herself. For him. How many? Jack asked. Tasali closed her eyes. More than before. Elite hunters. Now, they carry the death masks. No one escapes them. Jack took a breath. His body still ached from the arrows. He wasn't ready for a fight, but he didn't care. Then we don't wait for them, he said. We move. The jungle felt different now, angry, alive. Every leaf seemed to whisper. Every shadow seemed to watch. Tasali walked quietly, her feet barely touching the ground. Jack moved behind her, scanning every direction. His blade was ready, but he knew steel wouldn't be enough against what hunted them. Suddenly, she stopped. Jack nearly bumped into her. What is it? She pointed ahead. A clearing opened up, filled with tall stone pillars carved with ancient symbols, spirals, stars, eyes. In the center stood a broken statue. Its face was worn away by time, but its hand still reached out as if calling for help. Tasali approached it slowly. This was a temple, long ago. Jack looked around. We should keep moving, they're close. No, she said softly. This place remembers me. She knelt at the statue's base, placed her palm on the stone, and it glowed. The carvings lit up, golden lines crawling through the stone like veins. Jack stepped back in shock. What are you doing? He asked. Tasali didn't answer. Her eyes were closed, her body still. Then she whispered something in her ancient tongue, and the jungle held its breath. A beam of light shot into the sky. Jack cursed under his breath. That's gonna bring them right to us. No, she said, standing up. It will bring answers. The light vanished, but the forest did not return to silence. From the shadows, the hunters arrived. They stepped out, like ghosts, 5 of them. All tall, wearing black bone armor, their eyes hidden behind sharp masks. Each held a long, curved blade that glowed faintly with poison. Their leader raised his hand. His voice cut through the air. Tasali of the Cursed Eclipse, you are ordered to return, or die where you stand. Jack stepped in front of her. Again, the leader tilted his head. You are the human, the shield of dishonor. Jack grinned. Nice name. I'll keep it. One of the hunters lunged. Jack swung his blade up. Steel met alien metal. Sparks flew. Behind him, Tasali raised her hand, but no power came. Her glow flickered and dimmed. I used too much, she said. I can't protect you. Jack didn't hesitate. Then I'll protect you. Another hunter attacked. Jack blocked, kicked, dodged, but he was outnumbered. His wounds from before slowed him down. Blood dripped from his side again. The leader moved in, blade ready to strike, but then the statue behind them exploded in light. The stone hand rose. The forgotten god of the jungle had awakened. The hunters froze. Tasali stood, her eyes glowing, bright gold now, her voice deepened by something ancient. She is not cursed, the voice boomed through her lips. She is chosen. The hunters dropped their weapons and fell to their knees. Jack stared, heart pounding. What just happened? The glow faded. Tasali dropped to her knees, exhausted. Jack ran to her, caught her before she fell. You did it, he whispered. She looked up at him, weak but smiling. No, we did. Above them, the light from the statue marked the jungle sky, and somewhere, far away, other eyes were watching. Some would come to worship her, others to destroy her, and the human who stood in front of her again and again would face them all. A human among monsters. The chains were cold. They dug into Jack's wrists as he hung in the center of the alien village, arms stretched out, blood dried on his skin, and dust thick in his lungs. Around him, strange music played, not joyful, not kind. It was a rhythm of war. He was the prisoner now, and every eye around him belonged to a creature who wanted him dead. Above, wooden towers stood like crooked teeth. Alien flags flapped in the wind. Warriors watched him from the shadows, silent, masked, and unmoving. Then the crowd split. Sally walked through, but she wasn't glowing now. She was barefoot, bruised, and silent. Her wrists were bound in silver cords that shimmered when she moved. Jack's heart tightened. Sally? She looked up. Their eyes met. No words were spoken. But everything was said. The chieftain of the tribe stepped forward. A massive figure, wrapped in red fur and bones. His face was marked with black ink, his voice deep and sharp like broken rock. You bring this human to our world, Sally, he growled. You bring shame to our people. Sally didn't flinch. He saved me. He is an outsider, the chieftain roared. He bleeds weakness into your skin. Jack coughed and tried to stand straighter. Weakness? He spat. I stood against your arrows. I bled for her. What did you do? Tie her up and call it justice? The crowd hissed. The chieftain's eyes narrowed. Tie him to the fire post, he ordered. Let her watch his courage burn. The warriors moved in, but Sally suddenly raised her head. No, she said. Let me speak. The chieftain laughed. You lost your right to speak the moment you chose a human over your own kind. Sally's voice rose. Then let the ancestors decide. Silence. Even the wind stopped. The chieftain stepped back. You dare call on the old right? Jack looked confused. What's the old right? Sally whispered. A trial. Not of words, but of strength. Suddenly the crowd parted again, and from behind the shrine tent it came. A monster, 12 feet tall, 4 arms, eyes that burned like fire. It was a beast of bone and muscle, with blades growing from its arms. Its name was whispered in fear, the Judgment Beast. Win, and you both walk free, the chieftain said coldly. Lose, and your bones feed our roots. Jack swallowed. Great. Sally turned to him. Her hands trembled as she touched his face. You don't have to do this. He looked into her eyes, full of fear, full of trust. I already did, he said. The arena was a pit of red sand. Jack stood at its center, a cracked spear in hand, ribs aching, heart pounding. The beast paced in front of him, growling, hungry. Sally watched from behind the bars of a cage, gripping the metal so tightly her fingers bled. The drums began, again. The beast charged. Jack rolled, barely dodging the first strike. The spear snapped in his hand. He jumped back as a blade arm slashed past his face. He had no plan, no weapon, no backup. But he had something the monster didn't, a reason to survive. Jack leapt onto a broken column, kicked off, and landed on the beast's back. He wrapped a chain from his wrist around its throat, pulling tight. The monster screamed, flailed, smashed into the ground. The crowd roared. Dust filled the air, then silence. Jack stood, bloody, panting, the beast lying motionless beneath him. The chieftain rose from his throne. Enough. Later that night, the tribe gathered. Sally was unchained. Jack was healed, barely able to stand. The chieftain approached them again, slowly. You fought like a warrior, he told Jack. But more than that, you bled for one of ours. You showed something none of us did. He turned to the tribe. From this day, the curse is broken. The girl walks free. The crowd lowered their heads, but the chieftain's eyes locked on Jack again. But the human is still not one of us. Jack smiled. Good. I'd rather be the one who stood with her than the ones who turned away. Far beyond the firelight, something ancient stirred in the ground. A deeper danger. A true war, still sleeping. But for now, the girl with glowing hands and the scarred human stood tall, together, and the jungle watched. Escape through fire and fear. The ground shook beneath their feet. At first it was just a tremble, like distant thunder. But then the jungle screamed. Birds exploded from the trees. Beasts howled in panic. Ancient stone statues cracked, and the audi, roots of giant trees split apart, pouring smoke from the ground. Jack grabbed Sally's hand. Run! Behind them, the alien village crumbled. Fires burst from the ground like volcanoes. The trial had awakened something buried too deep, something that should have stayed asleep. Sally's face was pale. "The fire gods," she whispered. "They watched the old rite. They saw blood, and they are angry." The tribe scattered. Warriors screamed as hot winds blew through the forest. Sky turned orange. The drums were silent now. Only the roar of ancient fury remained. Jack and Tasali ran through a tunnel of twisted trees, holding hands as they dodged falling branches and burning leaves. The smoke stung Jack's eyes, and the heat made it hard to breathe. "This way," Tasali shouted, pulling him toward a dark ridge. Ahead was a cliff. Below it, a shattered canyon split the land. Cracks ran deep like veins of fire. The only way forward was a narrow bridge, old, rotting, and swinging wildly in the wind. Jack looked at it. "Seriously?" Tasali nodded. "There's no other way." They stepped onto the bridge. Each board groaned. Ropes creaked. The firestorm roared behind them, chasing with hot breath and ash. Halfway across, the bridge snapped. Tasali screamed as the back half fell into the canyon. Only Jack's grip saved them. He clung to the rope with one arm and held her with the other. "Climb," he shouted through clenched teeth. Tasali climbed over him, crawling up, pulling him after her. Their fingers bled. The bridge swayed. The fire reached the edge of the cliff. They rolled onto the far side, alive, coughing, burned but breathing. Behind them, the fire swallowed the bridge. There was no going back. They limped through the outer jungle, deeper now, into parts of the forest even the hunters feared. The air here was colder. Still, no birds sang. The trees were black and twisted like broken bones. "This place," Jack said, looking around, "feels wrong." "It was once a city," Tasali whispered, "before my people turned from the old ways." Stone towers leaned like tired giants. Faces carved in rock stared with empty eyes. Strange runes glowed faintly in the dark. They found a ruined temple and stepped inside. Inside the walls, stars were painted on the ceiling, not constellations Jack knew. These were ancient, alien skies. Tasali knelt before a shattered crystal. In the center of the room, it looked like a heart made of glass, broken and forgotten. "It was a memory stone," she said. "It stored the truth of my kind, of who we were, before fear poisoned our blood." She placed her hand on it. It lit up, flickering, weak. A voice echoed, not hers, but something older. "The child of the eclipse must choose. Remain hidden, in fear, or rise in the fire. The protector will bleed, but the bond will change the stars." Jack stepped closer. "What does that mean?" Tasali looked at him. "I think it means us." Outside, night fell, but something else rose. Shape moved between the trees. Not tribal, not beast, a ship, a black alien cruiser, hovering low, humming with dark energy. Light scanned the forest. Tasali gasped. "They found us." Jack stared. "That's not your tribe's ship, is it?" She shook her head. "No, that's worse. That's the harvesters." Jack's jaw clenched. "Then we move. Now." But they were too late. The ship released a sonic burst. The ground cracked. The temple shook. Stone blocks collapsed. The ceiling began to fall. Jack grabbed Tasali. They ran through the side tunnel, dodging falling rocks. Dust blinded them. Behind, the temple was destroyed. Jack and Tasali fell into a hidden shaft, sliding down into darkness, into a place forgotten by time. They hit the ground hard, but alive. As Jack groaned and opened his eyes, he saw something glowing beneath the dust. A hand. Metal. Armored. Buried in the dirt was an ancient exosuit, human-sized, covered in alien symbols. Tasali knelt beside it. "This is not my people's. This is older." Jack brushed off the chest plate. It had a symbol, a star wrapped in flame. His eyes met hers. Maybe we're not the first human and alien to fight side by side, he said. She touched his scarred hand. No, but we may be the last if we fail. The year. Truth of her bloodline, it was silent underground. No fire, no hunters, no noise. Just the heavy breath of two survivors. Jack, wounded and tired, and Taisali, quiet as stone. They stood in the ancient chamber, lit only by the pale blue light of alien crystals embedded in the walls. The broken exosuit lay at their feet. Its chestplate glowed with the symbol Jack couldn't stop staring at, a star wrapped in flame. I've seen this before, Jack whispered. It was on Earth, a warning sign, found in ruins we never understood. Taisali looked pale, like she'd seen a ghost. It's the mark of the Eternal Guard. Jack blinked. What's that? She turned to the wall and gently touched an old mural covered in dust. A light flared, and the image came to life, glowing softly, showing alien warriors standing beside humans and not fighting but protecting. A long time ago, she said, before my people grew afraid of power, we shared this galaxy with others. There was peace. There were alliances. But when the flames came from the sky, something called the Great Burn, many worlds were destroyed. The survivors changed. My people sealed our powers, erased our history. They said it was dangerous. She looked at Jack. I was born with memories I never lived. Visions of stars falling, of a human standing beside a woman who looked just like me. I never understood them. Until now. Jack stepped closer. You think we were connected before? I think, she whispered, we were meant to find each other again. The exosuit suddenly hummed, its chest cracked open, revealing a glowing core, still alive. Jack stepped back, but it didn't attack. It scanned him. Then, it spoke. A deep, calm voice echoed in the chamber. Gene match. Partial, soul bond, forming. Taisali gasped. It remembers you, not your face, but your spirit. The suit projected a hologram. It showed a battle long ago, stars burning, ships exploding. In the middle of it, a human man and an alien woman stood side by side, both wearing versions of the same suit. Their hands joined, their power combining. Then, silence. The memory ended. Jack's throat tightened. That was us? No, Taisali said. But maybe we are their legacy. The suit's core floated into the air, then merged into Jack's chest. Not painfully, but like it was always meant to be there. Symbols lit up under his skin. His wounds closed. His body strengthened. But more than that, his mind opened. He saw memories. Not his, Taisali's. Her childhood, her loneliness, her banishment, her first fear, her dreams. Taisali stumbled. She saw Jack's memories too. His war back home, his loneliness, his scars, his moments of kindness no one ever noticed. They stood frozen, hearts open, no secrets between them now. The bond was real. Suddenly the ground shook again. The harvesters were above, drilling, searching. Jack looked up. We need to move. But Taisali was still staring at the wall. A new symbol had appeared. This time it wasn't the Eternal Guard. It was her family's crest, the royal seal. Jack looked at it too. That's your bloodline? She nodded. Slowly. I'm not just the cursed child. I'm the last heir of the Skyborn throne. The powers I carry were never meant to be feared. They were meant to lead, to protect. But the elders hid the truth, and made me their enemy. Jack gave her a soft smile. Then it's time we stop running. Time to show them who you really are. Taisali turned to him, her voice shaking. And what if they still choose fear? Jack reached out, taking her hand in his. Then they'll have to go through me again. She smiled, just a little. You'll bleed again, won't you? He grinned. Probably, but this time I've got armor. And you. They began to climb. up through broken shafts and cracked tunnels toward the light above, where the harvesters waited, unaware that the girl they wanted dead, and the human they ignored, were about to rewrite history. Their bond wasn't just strong, it was ancient. It was destiny. Scars and stars, the sky above was no longer blue. It was cracked with red fire split by dark alien ships circling overhead like vultures. The harvesters had arrived in full force, ships landing in the jungle, drilling into the soil, searching for power and for her. But they didn't expect her to rise from the ground, reborn. And they didn't expect a human to stand at her side, wrapped in ancient armor glowing like a star. Tasali stepped into the clearing. Her silver hair floated in the wind. Her eyes glowed gold, brighter than ever before. But this time she was not afraid. She no longer hid her hands, her light, or her truth. Jack stood beside her, his new exosuit humming quietly. Not perfect, not complete, but alive. And his scars, once symbols of pain, now pulsed with power. Above them, the main harvester ship hovered. A voice came from it, cold and inhuman. Return the anomaly, or be destroyed. Jack looked at Tasali. I'm guessing that means you. She gave a soft nod. They don't see me as life, just energy, something to consume. Jack stepped forward. Then let's make them choke on it. The harvesters, scent machines, drones with blades, armored walkers, and soldiers in metal skins. But Jack charged first, blades in hand. His suit moved with his thoughts. Every move was fast, sharp, and exact. He didn't fight to kill. He fought to protect. Tasali followed close, raising her hands. From her palms burst waves of light that blinded machines, melted weapons, and turned the very ground into living vines that fought back. The jungle, once silent, rose with her. Roots cracked through the soil. Trees bent and grabbed enemy soldiers. The planet itself seemed to awaken with rage. The people of the village watching from afar saw what they once feared and fell to their knees. She wasn't cursed. She was chosen. The harvester ship charged its main cannon, aimed at both of them. Tasali cried out, her light flaring, but the beam was too strong. Jack didn't hesitate. He stepped in front of her again. No! She screamed. The beam fired. Time slowed. Jack raised his arms. His armor cracked, metal peeling. Light poured from his chest, the symbol of the Eternal Guard shining like a small sun. The beam struck and shattered. Not because of Jack alone, but because they were connected. The bond between them, human and alien, became a shield stronger than anything known. A force, not of power, but of purpose. The harvester ship sparked, faltered, and exploded, falling from the sky in flames. Smoke cleared. Jack fell to one knee. His armor was broken. His arms bled again. Old scars reopened, mixing with new ones. He smiled weakly, barely, conscious. Worth it, he whispered. Tasali rushed to him, dropping to her knees, holding him. You're not allowed to die, she said, her voice trembling. Not now. He looked up at her. Then kiss me or something. She laughed, tears in her eyes, and pressed her forehead to his. Their bond flared, brighter than before. The jungle went still. The sky turned gold, and for the first time in generations, peace returned. Later the tribe gathered around the temple ruins. The chieftain stepped forward, dropping to one knee before Tasali. We were wrong, he said. You are not a curse. You are our light. Tasali stood tall. Then you must stop living in fear. This world belongs to all of us. Jack limped beside her, grinning. And maybe make me some alien tea or something. I've earned it. Laughter echoed. The villagers bowed. Not to a queen, but to a leader. Protector. That night, under stars old and new, Jack and Tasali stood together on a cliff. Do you think others like you are out there? She asked. Jack looked up at the stars. Maybe. Or maybe we're the first step to something bigger. She leaned against him. Then we walk it together. He wrapped his arm around her, holding her close. The stars watched. The jungle slept, and, deep within the soil, the ancient armor of past warriors pulsed again, waiting for the next story to begin.